Wagwan everyone, Uchiha here. Welcome back to the channel, and of course today we'll be talking about Boruto Manga Chapter 58. Oh shit, I've totally forgotten the, the title. The Right Job for Idiots and Bastards. What an interesting title. Kishimoto, really dog. But anyway, welcome back to the channel, guys. Of course, Boruto Chapter 58 dropped, well, as of this recording today, the 20th of May, and honestly it was a pretty solid chapter. I hardly have anything, if anything, negative to say about this chapter. It's probably one of those chapters where I can, put together the positives of it like the easiest, and there's a decent amount of positives to actually go over. But anyway, welcome to the channel. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. Be sure to like, rate, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy anything that I had to say, or let me know your thoughts on the Boruto chapter itself. But anyway, let's get into this chapter and what made it so good for me. So as I said, generally speaking, this chapter was a solid one, if I do say so myself. I love most of the stuff from, the conflict between Team 7 and Kawaki, having Sarada, Mitsuki, and Konohamaru back into the mix, the conversation between Naruto and Boruto in the beginning. A lot of things to actually dissect and go over here. So let's start. So this chapter works for me for a lot of reasons, if I'm being honest, ranging back from the spoilers that Organic Dinosaur actually put out, well, the initial spoilers in terms of how much, each section of the chapter would actually take up. But the point is, from the beginning of the chapter, I was actually in tune, like just fully focus on what's going on, because we start off with the conversation between Boruto and Naruto regarding the use of the the Byakugan pills, and I for one thought this was going to be a moment of emotional conflict within the confines of the story, and for a bit it was. You could see it illustrated on Naruto's face for the most part. But going back to the same initial spoilers that Organic Dinosaur put out, she was essentially saying this section of the chapter was going to take up 14%. And my expectation, or my prediction based on that, was the fact that because of where Boruto is now as a character, because he was already prepared to die going into the fight with Ishiki Otsutsuki, I suspected that this section of the chapter being 14% made sense, because it wouldn't have taken Boruto a long time to actually come to terms like, yo, there are side effects, they could potentially kill me, but I've already been preparing for that. So when I went into this chapter and saw that, yo, that's basically more or less what Boruto was saying to Naruto in that first section, it made total sense, because it falls completely in line with what Kishimoto, or at the time Kodachi, was setting up, or has been set up with Boruto's character when it comes on to him going into danger and putting his life on the line. And he puts it beautifully in the chapter where he says, or don't quote me, but more or less he says, it takes someone a long time to find their resolve, but he's been working on it for a while. So that was beautiful, and it made sense within the confines of what's been set up in the story. It falls in line with how Boruto has been developed up until the fight with Ishiki. It makes sense, so I love that. And besides that, we got the funniest panel the funniest panel of the Boruto manga ever. Like, it's the best panel of Naruto just freaking out of Boruto taking the pill. So that was good. Comedic gold. And most of the persons in the stream that I did my live reaction stream can definitely check that out on the channel. Loved it for the most part. So yeah, but anyway, moving on, we move on to the training sessions of Team 7, where we have Konohamaru, who's finally returned to the Boruto manga, which is also a plus for the manga, or this chapter generally speaking. And Naruto, these two characters are actually observing Team 7 train. And what I loved about this section, multiple things that is, but what I loved about it initially is the fact that we have Sarada and Mitsuki now being set up to play what it seems to be more of an active role in the Boruto manga once again. These are characters who, for the last year or so, give or take, or ever since the end of the Boruto fight, they haven't had much screen time, relevance, or any ability to drive the plot along for the most part. So to see them back in the story again and see how they're actually training and seemingly are going to be relevant, that's always a plus for a story like Boruto, if I'm being quite honest. So I love seeing that. Now, the next thing I loved about this section is the clash in ideology, or the clash in how training and preparation for the fight against Code and Kara 2.0 should go, because it informs a lot of things and it informs a lot of things and brings further context to what I would say are future events. Well, nothing what I would say, they are future events. And let me explain what I mean. The whole conflict in this section is that they're doing basic chakra training drills. Kawaki has a problem with this because he doesn't see this as an efficient means to prepare for the conflict against Code and Kara, which I kind of agree with him. Well, partially, but he has a very strong point, very solid point if I do say so myself. Code has been marketed so far as one of the strongest persons in the verse, like probably top 10 more than likely if I do say so myself. Well, if his limiters are removed. So I see where Kawaki is coming from in this section of the chapter. But what I liked about it is how this conflict in this section resonates with the theme of Boruto, where it's always like the old generation versus the new generation, tradition versus, you know, technological advancements and refining of how we do things going into the future of, you know, humanity, etc., etc. Or just generally speaking, the whole theme of technology, where that all of that would actually fall under when it comes on to the Boruto era. So even though the conversation was focused on Code, I like that for the most part it actually resonated with what makes Boruto Boruto, and that's advancement and doing things probably in some more efficient ways. So I love that there was that kind of rang out to me from the conflict in this. But what I also loved about it is that Boruto and Kawaki's clash in ideology here, and I kind of felt like it informed or brought some more context to the whole conversation they had in the flash forward, where Kawaki was saying the era of shinobi is over, and Boruto responds by, yo, I'm still a shinobi. So the conflict in terms of how to progress and train and go forward and acquire strength, that difference in ideology is on display here. And even though it's in conflict over how to prepare for Code, it really does feel like it gives more context for whatever disagreements Boruto and Kawaki, or Kawaki and Team 7 by extension, are going to be having in the future. And I like that. It kind of feels like it was hinting at that, and it feels like it's our first genuine, I guess, breadcrumb or build up towards what we'll be getting in the time skip when it comes on to conflict between Kawaki and the team, or Kawaki and Boruto. So I loved it for the most part. Janu, I don't know, it was just straightforward but just refreshingly positive in terms of what made this chapter really good for me at the same time. So we do eventually get into Kawaki suggesting training and, well, you know, train like your life is on the line for the most part. And what I also liked about this is the fact that, similar to how Boruto's character development and what he's been portrayed to have gone through in the story up to this point essentially informed his quick decision to take the pills in the beginning of this chapter, Kawaki's experience with Jigen is what has informed, or basically it's the root cause of how he actually relates or interacts with the team, or basically his stance on how they should go forward in training. His actual experience informs his decisions. So basically there is no contradiction to his development, and it makes perfect sense within the confines of what Kawaki has gone through as a character being brought up by Jigen. So that was good as well. Also parallels between Naruto and Boruto. Well, there are parallels between Naruto and Boruto, but Boruto and Kawaki is what I meant to say there. Now, in terms of the fighting and the action, I usually complain about choreography within the Boruto manga, but for the most part, I don't know if I would say it was bad in this chapter. I don't think I would say that, but I know when it comes on to the anime, when it gets to this point, it more than likely will expand on it. But I actually did love the chapter in terms of the fighting in this chapter. We do see, you know, Mitsuki going in for a bit, Sarada going in against Kawaki. I loved it. And even Kawaki's use of the shadow clone. Yo, that was yo, Kawaki is going to be deadly with as he learns more and more ninjutsu, I'm not gonna lie. and we almost see Kawaki taking out Sarada, and Boruto eventually coming in to take him on. Now, when it comes on to Boruto and Kawaki, yo, man, I lie, brother. Like, there was something seemingly refreshing about seeing Boruto going in on Kawaki, and him using karma. Yo, him using his enhanced karma, you know, his karma enhanced jutsu. Yo, I don't know, it was just refreshing to see like Boruto at a level of competence at this point in the story when it comes on to combat. I don't know, it was just refreshing to see. I think that's more subjective, probably, but yeah, no, it was really good for me. And of course, before Kawaki even said to himself, I like the fact that I was able to deduce that once he brought up his hand, I was like, oh shit, he thinks he still has karma. And it really shows that they confirmed this like a few panels after that. So there's that. And what I also loved about this chapter, what makes it really, you know, ring home for me, is the callback to, you know, part 1 Naruto versus Sasuke, where Sasuke was saying, you know, elite shinobi don't need to exchange words, they can tell what each other is thinking by just exchanging fists. So that reference there, and Boruto essentially saying like, yo, the difference between, you know, when we used to fight back then and now, like, I can tell what you're thinking, fam. So that was a nice reference that I actually loved within the confines of the chapter. Like, yo, you know, like, I don't know, there's something about this chapter that's just so straightforward but just so refreshing when it comes on to the positives of it. So, Jano. But we also have a little Thought no Jutsu from Boruto, and I think it's at this point in the chapter where I kind of have to think back and reflect on everything Boruto's gone through, and I'm looking at it and saying, yo, Boruto really is transitioning. Like, his development over the course of, let's say, both the anime and manga, if you really combine it, it's been subtle, in some cases repetitive, but I would say Boruto as of chapter 58 is some distance removed from the Boruto that was in Boruto Naruto the movie, or at least the Momoshiki arc. I would say he has grown, honestly. So that was really good to see, I'm not gonna lie. And what I like about it, even though, you know, there is similarities between him and Naruto as pointed out by Konohamaru in this chapter, this is I guess, for lack of a better term, and I know this seems like I'm striking down Boruto, but this is a Naruto who is prepared to die. This isn't, I'm not gonna die till I become a Hokage. This is a character who's made up his mind to work with and try to, you know, if I have to give my life, I'm resolved to do that. And he has a lot of darkness that's set up for him to actually, you know, go through eventually. So yeah, but all I'm saying is there's just this vibe about Boruto in this chapter where I feel like there has been some growth, and that is the good part about it, because if your main character isn't growing, then what's the sense? And that's one of the problems I kind of had with the Boruto anime, where you had all these self-contained arcs for the most part, and it didn't feel like Boruto as a character was really going anywhere. So yeah, so I love to see it. This is what I love to see. And of course, I feel by the end of this chapter, when Kawaki says something like, I'll work with your way for now, is like another hint towards, yo, Kawaki versus Boruto in the future, they're falling out, setting up for it already. So I love that. But for the most part, this was a very solid chapter, if I do say so myself. You know, the characters acting are, you know, bringing the payoff to the development that they've had in a logical manner, I would say. We have conflicts that resonate with the theme of the series and also provide potential context for future conflicts, I would say. Of course, the return of characters that we actually want to see play a bigger role in the series, such as Konohamaru, Sarada, Mitsuki. Of course, I also didn't touch on Naruto in the end there. I feel like it was hinted that he was actually going to take the initiative to do something while Team 7 trains. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes in chapter 59. Even though I'm hoping to see Kashin, Koji, Sasuke in chapter 59, and more of Sarada and Mitsuki and Team 7 generally speaking. So let's see where the future chapters bring us. This chapter, for the most part, solid chapter. Solid. So yeah. But anyway, guys, let me know what you thought about chapter 58 of the Boruto manga. Did I miss anything? Did I forget to analyze anything in the chapter? Let me know in the comment section below. Definitely leave a like, subscribe, share this video out if you enjoyed any of the madness that I had to bring to the Naruto universe table tonight, this dimension, something. But anyway, thanks. Hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next Boruto video. Karma.